This is the Between Extraordinary Part 14. Let's do some recapping. We're in the middle of a night phase presently, and basically what was going on in the night phase is Ms. Balako was looking for a antidote to the Emerald Orchid possession and was making progress on that until the Limehouse Lurker interrupted her and got himself killed by Ms. Balakwa. Meanwhile, Lady Florence and Jakob were having letting their hair down a little bit at an illicit gambling institution, only to discover that all the good money tonight is up on Resplendent. That is where Dom eventually ended up, because that is where the Slugger ended up, and we left that scene with the Slugger being currently at the mercy of a six-armed serpentine red-skinned warrior, Tarnak. This is not going well for the Slugger, and that was sort of the cliffhanger we ended on. We are going to do two night phases because we have our handsome cab driver, Gareth, whatever his name is. I think it's Gareth. I don't actually remember. Gareth Kellogg, maybe? Or is that like a real person? I'm not sure.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, Gareth Kellogg is in your employ tonight, and so you will be able to get a lot done tonight, which is great. But we have some things going on that we have to get through. So we're kicking off with the prison hulk at Woolwich. Mike, are you ready to do your unseen? I'll read the prompt for you. Narrate a scene in which we see a convict being punished by a ship's officer. What did the convict do? How is the punishment being carried out?
So we've talked about how nasty everything is on this ship. The water, in fact, is like this big tub, and it looks like, when you see like oil or gas on the road at a gas station. It's terrible. It has that like rainbowy color effect to it. So the surface of this like dark, dank, gross water has this sort of like rainbowy glow. And this convict was actually caught stealing water from the bin. The ship's officer caught him and essentially said, um, if you want a little bit, why don't you drink the whole thing? And has submerged him into this tank of water and is just like holding him under, and it is gross and it is nasty. And every time he comes up, he's just screaming, "No, no more water! I can't drink no more!" And that's what's going on.
Fabulous. Thank you. Ms. Balakwa, the spirits are mocking you. They have been the dark entities have been mocking you. They sent the Limehouse Lurker to mock you. And now the fact that you killed the Limehouse Lurker, they find this endlessly entertaining for reasons that are only understandable by evil entities from another dimension. But they sharpen up very quickly. There's an intruder in Hargrave House. Someone has come through the front door. You can hear them from your rooms. What do you do?
I briefly regret not being able to bind these spirits in a way that they would torment me less. I will think upon that later. I will pull into the dark corners of the house and quietly creep along the edges of the hallway until I can see who has entered the house.
They're not making any attempt to hide themselves, and so as long as you engage in just a little bit of stealthy work, you'll be able to see really quickly that it's Tunara. She is there, blue-skinned Tunara, beautiful, wearing her science fantasy appropriate chainmail gown, and she says, "Come out, Ms. Balakwa. We have to talk."
She does so. She's dressed in what was supposed to be research and, acid wear sort of sciency clothes, but more of a desk job. And she's brushing herself off, bloody arm just dripping from where the lurker had sunk its teeth into her. It really isn't a good time, Tunara.
I can see that. You do get up to some very interesting work here at Hargrave House. My father is distracted currently. He has plans within plans unfurling themselves. Much of the city's intellectual and financial elite are also distracted. The time for me to make my move is now.
Miss Balakwa descends the stairs, making eye contact that has a lot of range of emotions, going from confused, mildly bemused, and then finally, are you in look are you seeking help or distraction? Because I frankly only have just a little bit of time to give you.
I am leaving this place. I am secretly commandeering a small vessel to escape and go back to Venus. I want you to come with me.
It's a fascinating idea, but I don't know what has given you the impression that I would be A, part of a harem, B, likely to get into a vehicle with someone and then go to a third destination. What on earth are you thinking?
You would not come with me as part of my harem. You would come with me as my royal consort,
How
a
lovely.
near equal sitting
Mm.
by my side.
Come into the parlor. I need to sit with me for a moment.
And she smiles and goes into the parlor. Meanwhile, Lady Florence and Jakob, what are the two of you doing in the crowd up on Resplendent right now?
I think I'm very anxious and just kind of keep on whispering over to Jakob, like, you shouldn't be here. We shouldn't have come here. You shouldn't be here. We shouldn't have come here.
I'm I don't know, trying to listen to Lady Florence's advice, but also cheering on the Shoreditch Slugger, being like, get him in the gut, or punch him in the kidneys, trying to offer some
Someone,
boxing tips that are probably not totally appropriate for punching somebody with six arms.
I think you're on the outer edge of the crowd, near a porthole, looking out into the city. It's a fantastic view, if not for the fact that it's a fairly small porthole. And someone looking out the porthole says, "Oh my God, look!" And you'll see in the approximate vicinity of Three Mills Island a tear in the sky, purplish red, as if someone took a letter opener and just ripped into the fabric of the night hanging over Three Mills Island. Dom, what is going on? The slugger's about to be killed.
Seeing this, I think his face will kind of pale, and he'll shoulder his way through the crowd to the edge of the fight, and he'll say, "Excuse me, Your Excellency, there's been some mistake."
Mr. Constantine, the crowd kind of gets quiet. Do you have an objection to the night's activities?
I do. Simply put, you called this man London's champion. How could he be if I've defeated him?
There's a hubbub, 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 hubbub. And Gesod smiles and says, You wish to stand in this poor, unfortunate soul's place.
And Dom will clearly hesitate for a moment and then say, "You wanted the champion? He stands here."
Let's do the night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Me and the slugger will get torn apart.
Yeah, I think it's worse than that. I don't know how, but it's worse than that.
You have to fight the Shoreditch Slugger to the death.
That's interesting. Oh, that's intriguing. Let's see how it goes. All right. I think this is going to be presence and taking a look at your conditions to see if anything applies. Maybe marked by the slugger for rash action. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't think so because I think it would actually play. It would help you if anything. So roll with presence.
8.
8. You will be allowed to join the fight. The slugger will be let go. But I'm going to have my own echo in the night here and say that the fighting pit starts filling with water. And Tarnak's real good underwater. But give me just the scene of like you taking the slugger's place.
I think Dom will step forward and just as subtly as he can, he'll reach out and take the slugger's hand for a second before leading him to the side of the fight, and then stepping up in front of Tarnak and kind of shirking his coat, revealing his blades, and saying, "All right, well, you're not quite a bear, but this will be fun."
And that's when you notice that there's about 24 high pressure nozzles on the wall of the pit that begin filling the pit with water, and the floor of the pit begins to lower just to sink you faster. And Tarnak mocks you in his language. He doesn't speak English like all the other Phoenicians do. And and you can see that Tarnak cares nothing for the water. He's excited by the water. You might even notice that his serpentine body has little fin appendages that flap open. And let's go back to the prison hulk, back to captivity. Brian, narrate a scene in which we see a convict finding comfort and companionship within the bulkheads of captivity.
I had an idea, but now I've got a new one. There's kind of down low enough that their feet are constantly wet. There's this sense that the bilge has risen, and no one in charge of the ship is concerned about the filth. But within that, one of the convicts has found and kind of befriended and made a pet of what are those things called? An eel. There's an eel that it will take the convict will take some of the gruel and float a little bit of this gruel on the surface of the water, and this eel comes swimming up and nibbles it, and he pets his little pet eel, and it becomes a thing where another convict is I don't know, charmed by the fact that they've got a pet, and they bond over this shared eel. I'll leave it at that for now.
I love it. Ms. Balakwa, you're in the parlor with Tunara, I assume.
I am making inappropriate work of removing the clothing that has been soiled in blood and just casting it off before I sit down in a huff.
Are you going to come with me?
Why don't you, for once, express just a little bit more information than demanding my time and attention?
I'm sorry that perhaps my particularly Venusian manners are not compatible with your English sensibilities. I will do better, Ms. Belacqua. Ms. Belacqua, I wish to return to Venus while my father is away and stage a coup against the administrators he has left there and make Venus mine.
Well, that's certainly aspirational.
Yes, we think big in my family. And I certainly have a romantic attraction to you, but also I understand that you wield powers that would be very useful to me in my efforts.
So both a tool and an instrument for you to play with. How charming.
Hmm.
Do you suppose, for just one moment, that you could imagine what it would be in my shoes? How much this request really does just chafe a little bit. It's not as all flattering as you seem to think it is.
We simply don't have enough time to worry about the niceties, Ms. Belacqua. My father, his attention is turned away, but not for long.
Well, then we shall have to make quick work of our compatibilities. And I reach forward and grab the back of her head and kiss her.
Very good. Lady Florence and Jakob, the portal is about to open over Three Mills Island. This is it. It is happening unless you all get over there and try to stop it. Dom is currently distracted and about to be in a he's quite literally trying to stay afloat. What are you both doing?
Dom is distracted, and Gesod is distracted, and Tarnak is distracted, and everyone is distracted. I feel like we might take the opportunity to just fly the Resplendent over to 3 Mill Island.
That is so much better. I was going to say we should take some little tiny escape shuttle, but let's just take the whole damn
Just
thing.
take all of Resplendent. I love it. Yeah, it's good. There is a bridge which you can make your way to. I think when you get to the hallway where the bridge is, like, it connects up to the bridge, you see 127, his hulking brass body and silver exposed intricate cogs of silver and brass. And he's sort of the weird tripod robot. He's there and he says, I live only to serve the great majesty of Gesod. I will not be stopped in executing his righteous orders. I cannot be stopped. Nothing you do will stop me. Chunk, chunk, chunk.
I smack him with the hammer of Gontos.
Hammer of Gontos. What does the Hammer of Gontos do?
It can sunder any object.
Ooh, I guess he qualifies as an object. I love it. This is going to be the night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I miss and I punch a hole in the Resplendent and I get sucked out.
Oh, that's interesting. It's worse than that. Much of London's luminaries also get sucked out of said hole, and it becomes a big chaotic mess. Please go ahead and roll with vitality, I guess.
All right. 8.
8. I think this is going to work. You are going to be able to waylay, even possibly destroy 127. Now I'm going to say you. The complication is just that you will get 127 out of your way. You will not destroy 127. If you bump it to a 10, you get to destroy 127.
I like him out of the way and coming back later, kind of Terminator style, that like
Sounds good. Give us a
I'll be
scene.
back. What I met 127 before. So I say 127, you're repetitive and you're in the way, and we don't have time for this. And London's in danger. And just kind of, do a double-handed whoosh. The hammer streaks forth and bashes him in the hip, kind of knocking one of his tripod legs inwards. And he collapses to the side. His little whatever sort of electronic light sort of goes and fizzles, and we're like, he's out of the action, and go past. And then the light goes and comes back on after we're out of sight.
Lady Florence, there's a single person, a single Venusian on the bridge who's just, monitoring, monitors and lights, and he like occasionally presses something. And he hears the commotion, and then he sees you, and he says, "Oh, hello. I think you want to be back down that way with all the blood sport."
I think I'm just gonna walk up to the control panel like I belong there. I mean, I'm in fine clothes.
I'm sorry. What are you doing there? What are you doing exactly?
And I just start trying to get a feel for how spaceships work again. It's
Don't
been a
press
little
that.
while.
Please don't press that. That is not good.
And I just like give
Ignore that. Thank you.
this person a cold stare, just eyes meet and just daggers from my eyes.
I am fairly certain you do not have the proper certification for operating a 6656 Venusian resplendent class invasion vessel.
Oh, certifications are not the issue here.
I do, by the way.
I don't need certifications. I build these things. Maybe not this one in particular, but ones that are very similar. Why am I even arguing with you? And I just start pulling levers again.
Yeah, please do not touch that lever in particular. That is that is the one not to touch. That one right there.
Oh, okay. So I'm just gonna have my left hand over that one as I adjust all the others, and every time he tries to like nudge me away, like my fingers kind of like grasp on that one a little bit closer, a little bit tighter.
Good, I love it. Meanwhile, in this water tank with Tarnak. All right, Dom, you ready to fight this thing?
Oh yes.
All right, it's going to be vitality. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
As before, I'll die and he'll kill the slugger.
Yeah, and I think you and the water will be flushed out from Resplendent over the city of London. Please go ahead and roll.
Can I use my twin blades for advantage here?
Oh, sure, yeah.
$12.
12. Very nice. We will wrap up this night phase.
Vitality. Yep.
Vitality, yeah.
Yep, 12.
We will wrap up this night phase with you in your fight scene with Tarnak. Go for it.
I think as soon as the water hits his ankles, Dom realizes he's gonna have to make this fast, otherwise he'll be at too much of a disadvantage. And I think as Tarnak is mocking him in this alien tongue, Dom just charges forward, blades at the ready, and sets to work, not trying for a vital organ or wherever that might be. He just starts slicing through the tentacles and hobbling this creature until finally he renders it almost inert in the water, climbs up on its back, wrenches its head back, and holds the knife to the throat, and just looks up at Gesod and says, "Please give me a thumbs down."
And I think this is when the ship lurches after Lady Florence presses a button she was explicitly told not to press, and Gesod realizes something is going on, and everyone realizes something is going on. And furthermore, there's a commotion because of the portal opening up over 3 Miles Island, or 3 Mills Island, rather. And it's, yeah, no one's paying attention to you anymore. So what do you do?
He'll look down at Tarnak and get in close and say, "No one touches him but me," and slices through where he hopes the throat is.
Indeed, indeed. The water blooms with purplish red blood. And that concludes our first night phase. Our second night phase, we will begin by introducing a brand new unseen. Our newest unseen. A lot of these don't make sense given the chaos going on in the city, because I think people would be like, what's that in the sky? Not dealing with whatever their dramas are. So instead, there is one group that is viewing all of this as a sign. That group is the Cult of the Pig. They are on line 41, second one over. A secretive cult dedicated to the pagan swine god Mok has gathered in a fashionable salon on this holy night to make offerings to their porcine deity. Everyone does. Paint the scene. Let's see here. Let's see. Who's gonna be who was the fourth person who didn't get their own thing last time?
That was me.
Okay. So Ben, you can have prompt 2. Sarah, you can have prompt 3. And Brian, you can have prompt 4. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and do the second night phase. The Cult of the Pig. How has this otherwise sumptuously decorated salon been changed to make it a ritual space dedicated to an ancient pagan pig god?
Mud has been carted in and covering the floor to make it more like home for Mok.
I have to think now. Even more mud. The ceilings are covered in mud. Everything is covered in mud. You can't even tell what anything was anymore. There's so much mud.
There is like they built an extension out of the fireplace to have an open fire pit with the spit and the rotisserie sort of stakes running across it.
I think that in a very filthy style of kind of the Roman vomitarium, there are troughs laid out of food for people to eat from. And it is not polite society food. It is you get your hands and your face in there to eat.
Ms. Balakwa Tunara, after your encounter, she's looking at the work you were doing before you were interrupted by the lurker. And she says, "What's all this, Victoria?"
Well, perhaps you could be of some help to me. I ran into your father while we were trying to sort out, well, this invasive species, which is unclear whether it's Venusian or not, but I have my suspicions. But this green orchid seems to enchant and bedazzle people with the color green, and I am now trying to work up a reasonable antidote that maybe perhaps containing that pigment could counteract the effects and free people from its influence.
I may be able to help you. Human biology is, well, no offense, but it's quite simple. compared to Venusian biology, you don't have nearly as many sophisticated internal systems. And she's kind of, grabs things, pours things, mixes things. And she's doing her thing. And she says, and when it's all said and done, after bubbling things away and decocting solutions down into a glass bottle, she says, I think this is the formula that will free your people from the yoke of the Emerald Orchid.
That's very kind. But I am afraid I am going to have to consider this a parting gift.
A parting gift for whom?
Oh, yours to me, as you are off to Venus, and I'm afraid, as fun as it was, two tops just won't work, my dear.
Ms. Balakwa, do you understand that as the daughter of the High Imperator of Venus, I am not accustomed to being rejected?
Well, failure does improve your character. Perhaps you can take it on the chin and as a learning experience for later. Please, you'll go to Venus and you will work out all of these frustrations on your father's administrators.
Let's cut over to Resplendent. Lady Florence, I'm going to make you do the night move to navigate Resplendent over to 3 Mills Island. I think this is going to be reason. And what are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I mean, we want to drive towards this portal. We don't want to drive into it.
Indeed. I think it's worse than that. I think you will fly into it and be lost forever. Let's have the night move with reason. Not good. Not good.
5.
5. I think the ship, it's all going well enough. You've more or less got the handle of how to operate it. It's kind of slow going as you sort of right it and get it to move. The doors to the bridge have been sealed off. You can hear 127 and Gesod trying to get in. And then we see the portal. It opens up, revealing stars, a galaxy, a celestial array with which you are not familiar. It is an entirely different reality, another dimension. And the ship, you lose control of it. You intend for it to go a little bit port, but instead you go a little bit starboard, and the ship just plummets into the yawning portal. And I think that's it. Unless you're putting on the Janus mask.
I mean, as tempting as this is for Lady Florence and my style of play, I will mark a mask here. Mask of the past.
All may not be lost on the opening the portal front. You are keeping it under control. Here's the complication. There's somebody on the bridge with you. It's Admiral Flag. He says, I know it's difficult to override the old instincts. I myself was coming to pilot Resplendent. Where are you taking us, Lady Florence?
You sound so much older, Admiral Flag. These days have truly aged you. But we're headed over to Three Mills Island.
Oh, how I've missed your sardonic wit. Lady Florence, Three Mills Island. An excellent choice. A short jaunt to a forever port of call.
That's how I would phrase it too.
The ritual, opening the portal over Three Mills Island, is being performed by my people.
Your people.
Indeed.
But
Meanwhile,
why would you do this to us, Flag?
Meanwhile, Dom and Jakob, I think there's a lot of people are just kind of freaking out right now as the ship is moving. Gesod is Gesod is just randomly disintegrating people. He's pissed off. And what are the two of you doing?
Dom is going to go collect the slugger and make sure he's safe before meeting up with Jakob.
And D.I. Pettigrew's aboard, right?
He is, yeah.
Right.
He's like, ladies and gentlemen, please be calm, be calm. I assure you the crown has this situation well in hand. And there's just people going crazy.
I'm still marked by Gesod for a condition. For a moment, I'm just admiring the sort of 6-gun disintegration method, the pew pew pew, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. How does he do that? I've thrown a javelin, a jajatar or two in my time, but disintegration, that's a different level of technology. Is there a window or a portal where we can sort of see how close we are to 3 Mile Island?
You're
Island,
getting very close. You're getting close. That tear in the sky is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I'm going to turn to Dom and the Slugger and I guess D.I. Pettigrew and say, perhaps we should look for a smaller vessel to take from the Resplendent down to the surface so that we can, I don't know, get off the ship. Resolve that tear in space-time continuum.
The Slugger says, I think I'm done here. I had it under control,
I know. You know me, I can't help but insert myself where I'm not needed. Jakob, lead the way.
Yeah, kind of oddly instinctually, I seem to know where one keeps smaller craft aboard. Things like that. I'm like, it's this way. Here we go. And,
exactly. Like the one that propelled you to Earth when you were a babe. Good. I love it. Let's go back to the cult of the pig. Ben Mock demands a sacrifice of riches. What does the cult offer him? Describe the manner of the offering.
Every time the cult convenes, it is tradition for them to wear their finest finery. Some even show up in wedding gowns that are decadent to the point of almost absurdity. And as soon as they enter the salon, they get down on their knees and then on their face and begin to roll in the mud, ruining this clothing forever and marking themselves as part of Mock's tribe.
Ms. Balakwa, Tunara is not taking your rejection well. I
had no reason to think she would.
She has produced a double-headed blade in her hand, like a double-headed dagger. And she says, if you are not with me, then you are a danger.
I really don't follow that logic at all, my dear.
If you stay here, you will just be an instrument for someone else, my father possibly.
You know I cannot stand him. We discussed it at length.
And yet, you are still a weapon, just waiting in the tall grass to be used.
I really don't have time for this. I would like to cast a ritual and portal myself away from here.
Indeed. We assume you probably always have such things ready to go, I imagine, because Hargrave House is always getting invaded. As long as you spill some blood, you're good to go. Go ahead and roll.
I just grab the blade of her knife in
Oh,
my
nice.
own
Yeah.
hand. And as it's dripping down, you can see the black tendrils spread out from my blood, and they start to do the swirl behind me.
I love it. Where are you teleporting to? Or, well, let's just roll first. See how it goes.
Yeah, we'll find out, won't we?
Indeed, indeed.
Okay, so that's a +3, a 10.
Nice. And I assume this is one of your options.
To portal to it, yeah, it is. Don't remember the exact wording.
Well, there's bar a place or portal, trap, do one thing that's beyond human limitations. I think that'll probably work. Just tell me where you're going.
I think that while she was doing all of her work at my station and desk, I was looking out at the tear in the sky that is slowly getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that needs attention. And I will try to teleport to 3 Mills Island.
I love it. Lady Florence. Admiral Flagg says, "This is the climax of a plan I've been working on. I have spent many months putting into place, Lady Florence. I became aware of Gesod's intention to conquer Earth, and I am nothing if not loyal to Queen and country. I lured Gesod here. I lured him here with the hopes of dispatching him forever, eliminating his threat. If you and Hargrave House prevent the portal from opening, I will not be able to fly resplendent into it, thereby taking Gesod off the board forever. This is our one best chance to be rid of a being who threatens not just London, but something even worse, humanity itself. I have prepared an escape once we point the ship into the open portal. Are you with me? Shall we fight back to back once again?"
I am surprised that you could muster your feeble old mind to come up with such an elaborate plan, but sounds
Lady
like
Florence,
baby.
this is nothing but the human race and our extinction on the line. I will weather your ridiculous jabs. Are you with me?
As I was saying, it may be our best option right now, Flag.
And I think he'll look down and we see Ms. Balakwa down below on 3 Mills Island. We see the cultists gathered, chanting and getting this thing to open up. Jakob and Dom are looking for a way down. Lady Florence, you're going to have to stop Hargrave House from preventing the portal from opening if you intend for this to go through.
Oh no. Flag, I'm going to need a second. As my life flashes before my eyes.
Jakob.
How trustworthy like how much am I trusting, or is Flag trustable in this
I
situation?
think that's what he intends to do. I think he intended to lure Gesod here and
So
pilot Resplendent into this portal.
so it feels clear like this is his power play that
This is his
now is
move.
an opportunity to, yeah. Ooh. All right, you can go to Jakob. I'll think about this.
Jakob and Dom, you do find a little vessel, but there are men from Chimera guarding the entrance to this little vessel. And they look at you and they say, "So Hargrave House is with us after all." What did I say, men? Always trust the Admiral.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, we're working together on this endeavor.
And they look out the porthole and they say, "Well, it looks like they need just a little bit more time. A little bit more time for the portal to open. And then we'll say goodbye to the Venusian invaders forever."
Dom will be reaching for his blade and then stop when he says saying goodbye, and he'll look to Jakob and say, "We are on the same side."
And we have a little tiny flashback to me seeing Admiral Flag like on the other side of the arena during the fight.
I love
So
it. Yeah,
I know
please
he's
do.
aboard the ship.
Yeah, please
So
do.
I kind of see him go to sort of point him out to Lady Florence, and there was a distraction. My message didn't get through. But me knowing that Admiral Flag's aboard, I'll say, Admiral Flag's requested your assistance on the bridge as they guide the ship to the destination, because I don't know the destination. Hopefully distracting them, convincing them to leave so that we can get on this little shuttlecraft and get off of here.
Very well. So Mr. Constantine and Jakob are taking the escape vessel down to Three Mills Island.
Oh, if this is going to work as we get on the vessel, I'm assuming we're crowding in with the Shoreditch Slugger and DI Pettigrew. So
If you're taking DI Pettigrew, it's up to you. Yeah.
I don't know. That's up to you, Dom.
Yeah, he would.
Right.
Annoyingly.
As we get in, I'm like,
You would have me abandon the people of London to save my own skin?
No, I'd have you pick your battles, Pettigrew. Some are better than others.
Oh, I cannot help but feel a slithering, oily touch of a yellow stripe sliding down my back, Mr. Constantine.
I'd be happy to check that for you when we get back to London, but for now, just focus on the task at hand.
Very good. So yeah, it's the four of you, I guess.
I think, yeah, we might bring another innocent bystander or two if they're nearby. But
I mean, I'm sure not all the Chimera people left either. There's probably a couple of the Chimera people still there. They're kind of like, we can't leave without Admiral Flag.
We're just the first ground crew. If you want to join with us, I don't know if we need your assistance, but here we go, and then start to close the hatch.
I think these few people left from Chimera will not be able to overpower Mr. Constantine and the Slugger, and you'll be able to get into the hatch.
Make a wistful, almost dreamy comment where I'm like, this is a lot more crowded than I remember, and the controls are on the right. They're usually on the left, but then I just kind of start flipping switches and pulling levers and things.
It must be American make. Let's go.
Ms. Balakwa, down on Three Mills Island, you step out of your shadowy tendrils to see the ground view of what's going on. A group of people wearing alternating shimmery silver and inky black robes, standing before this enormous mural on the side of one of the mill buildings, which has runes and markings all over it that are glowing. There is powerful magic being done here right now, Ms. Balakwa. You can feel it instantly. And you can see this tear in the sky beginning to open wide. But there's also something stalking the perimeter of the scene. You see it now. Before it was invisible, but now it is an enormous, oily black cat with eyes like starlight. It stands probably 5 foot at the shoulder. It's enormous, and it's stalking around. You'll see the little escape pod drop down from Resplendent. You have no idea who or what that is. What are you doing right now?
As I'm recalling the solution, there was some sort of significance of the bodies being different colors and therefore symbolic of the bodies, the celestial bodies, and more of like a navigational chart. They had to arrange them in such a way so they could split
Right,
open the
yeah.
portal to this. Okay.
Yeah, you might even see those people of various, those strange.
Well, and the shimmering silver ones
Yeah.
versus black robes, and
Yeah,
okay.
all that, yeah.
I'm having a very frustrated evening, and I don't think that I'm going to be able to take on all of these cultists on my own. So I think what I am going to do is focus on this star beast and see if I can make nice. Like, can I?
Here's Star Beast. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Let's go back to the cult of the pig. Sarah, Mock demands a sacrifice of status. What does the cult offer him?
After they are covered in mud, these people pull out, like, they're shedding their wealth and their status at the same time. So it's decrees from the queen herself in these papers that they're starting to toss into the fire and burning whatever made them of the royal or the gentry, their titles, and then their sashes, and then their robes, and then finally their clothes are heaped onto the fire, nearly snuffing it out from the weight of the mud.
Very nice. Admiral Flagg cries out in distress as the escape vessel, he sees it plummeting down to Three Mills Island, and he says, he kind of hollers at some of the Chimera people who are trying to get his attention from the other side of the door. He says, you know, at first he's like, secure the escape vessel, but of course it's too late for that. And then he says, well, Lady Florence, it seems if we wish to save Earth, you and I are going to have to make a sacrifice.
And Lady Florence looks him dead in the eyes and says, this is certainly the best plan for those of us who belong to Earth. But there are bigger acts at play here, and Gesod is not yours or mine to dispatch of. He belongs to Mars. And I'm going to run him through with a barnacle crusted trident.
This is the night move. He will grab his saber and try to meet you. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I mean, it's mano a mano here. That this would be the end of Lady Florence. She's
Indeed.
essentially, yeah.
And it's worse than that. The portal will open. Go ahead and roll with vitality.
It is a 8-10.
Very good. Go ahead and describe how you end Admiral Flagg.
I think he doesn't even see it coming. Like he had seen like Lady Florence's sympathies with everything that he was saying, even as he's hollering about the escape craft leaving. If he glances over, like he even sees like the worry and the concern in Lady Florence's face, and I think it just takes him completely off guard when she just sort of like pulls this trident off of her back, and just runs him through, and he looks down and just sees all these barnacles, and then looks up at Lady Florence, and I mean, I'll give it to you for like a final words type of
I
thing, but
will. Yeah, we'll come
yeah.
back to it. Ms. Balakwa, the Star Beast, what are you going to do to try to get it under control or otherwise out of your hair?
I wonder if some of my darkness wouldn't be familiar to it and that it might recognize me as
Yeah,
kin
possibly.
or
Yeah, yeah.
non-threatening.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Um,
Night move with, I'd say presence, but it's going to be sensitivity.
Okay.
No, for you, it's presence. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
that I will in fact be leaning into the most beloved and I will look like some sort of snack.
Yeah, I think between spirit and the pigment and this weird color-based ritual going on and most beloved, I'm putting you at disadvantage.
Yeah, no, I have all of those things. This is a bad idea. A 5, a 6, and a 3. That's an 8.
An 8.
Uh-huh. Oh, plus sensitivity. So
Yeah.
11.
Oh, very good. Yeah, describe how you get the Star Beast under control.
I perhaps am the one who can see it, and being invisible for this long to the naked eye, it doesn't understand kindness or what's happening, and so with curiosity it starts to pad over, and I give it a little scratch right here.
Very good. I love it. Mr.
Can I?
Constantine, and yeah, oh, go ahead, Victoria.
Oh, I thought maybe after winning its confidence, I could send it into the crowd of cultists to disrupt things, but we'll
Yeah,
get to that, I
possibly.
think.
Jakob and Mr. Constantine, you don't have a lot of control over the escape pod, but you can kind of move it a little to the left, a little to the right. You have a little joystick there that allows you to move it in, in a limited fashion. You can see the ritual. You're basically descending down to the area of the ritual on 3 Mills Island. You can see the sacrifices laid out. You can see the knives getting ready to be lifted. You can see the gate pulsing as it gets ready to get bigger and open up. What do you do?
As we get closer, I think Dom will just turn to Jakob and say, "Open the door."
Oh, interesting. Gonna go convertible. All right.
The hatch is open. Then what?
Yeah. A little spin.
Are you halo jumping down there?
Not quite that high, hopefully, but
Yeah.
he's going to try and break his fall on the cultist with the knife.
I love it. To disrupt the ritual. That's good. Obviously, this is vitality. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Oh, miss.
Yeah, I think that'd be a problem. And indeed, you will not disrupt the ritual, and the portal will open. Please go ahead and roll with vitality.
11.
Very good. We'll come back for the conclusion after our last stop at the Cult of the Pig. Brian, Mock demands a sacrifice of blood. What does the cult offer him?
Oh man! All right, get ready for the most epic, unseen echo in the night that you have ever seen. So, we see a young man pasting up signs on bricks. He started in Limehouse. He's worked his way through different neighborhoods, and he keeps pasting up these signs one after another. And there's a little face carved. It's a print face carved out of a wood block, printed on the paper, and it says "missing." And then there's a lengthy description of this person who's gone missing, who he's searching for, and there's a pittance of a reward. But he's pasting these up. He's giving up hope. It's been too many years since his twin brother went missing. And as he kind of turns away from the sign, the face in this print over the shoulder is the Limehouse Lurker. This is the Limehouse Lurker's twin brother, now about a decade older or so. Still not yet giving up hope, but he feels like it's not going to happen. He's not going to find his brother. And there's a woman watching him paste up the last of his posters, and she says, "Oh, I have seen that young lad just recently. In fact, it was just a couple nights ago, and I'm headed there again tonight. If you'd like to join me." And he's kind of taken aback, like, this is impossible. There's no chance. But she describes somebody that sounds so much like his twin brother that he willingly goes with her in sort of a last hope. And then when they arrive, they enter into this estate, and there's the troughs of food laid out, and there's people rolling in the dirt. And she says, trust me, and takes his hand, and he thinks, like, could my brother have fallen in with this crowd? This is not our sort of people. And she brings him in, and then people kind of come behind him, blocking the escape, and someone approaches with a pig skull, but they've sharpened the canines on the pig skull. And as they grab him, they reach this skull up and puncture his throat with the fangs of this pig skull, and then splay him out into the trough with the blood rolling out. And the Limehouse Lurker's brother dies on the very same night that his vampiric brother was murdered by Lady Balakwa.
Admiral Flag is dying on the bridge of Resplendent. Run through with your trident, Lady Florence. And he says, "You have betrayed Britain, Lady Florence."
And I just nod.
And he says, "Grant me one wish at least, one final request."
I will hear your request and make a decision with your dying breath.
I would like for my body to be buried at sea.
I know of a very special place to bury your body, Flag, and she is thinking about the Wilton Davies Trench.
Indeed, indeed. Mr. Constantine, please describe how you disrupt the ritual.
As the cultist is raising the knife to bring it down, there is just a whoomph as Dom lands knives first on the man's shoulder, driving them both to the ground. And Dom lifts himself up, wipes his knives off on his clothes, which are already filthy with blood, Venusian blood, mud, water, now this human blood. And he looks up at everyone around them and says, "Party's over."
Indeed, indeed. Ms. Balakwa, Jakob, the escape vessel lands on Three Mills Island. Everyone's a little shaken up from the rough landing, but otherwise okay. D.I. Pettigrew is the first out of the hatch, and he says, "Did we do it? Did we defeat the evil? Did we save Britain?"
Victoria kind of looks at Jakob, and I said, "You picked him to what on earth are you flying this vessel? Is it what are you doing here?"
Well, that's Mr. Constantine's date. We just rescued him. Things were going a little nuts on Resplendent. The ship seemed like it was going to crash.
Indeed, they have regained control of Resplendent, and it pulls up and goes back to where it was over Buckingham Palace. The cultists are scattering. You can dispatch them as you wish. The portal is sealing back up. Anything else anybody wants to do before the night phase is over?
I was just going to ask, have we actually done enough to, I think the condition was to end the ritual for 1,000 years?
It's enough. It just
By
they've just
interrupting it now, they can't
they've missed
try
their window.
again.
They can't try again. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So, but you know, we don't need to like murder the Star Beast or.
No, it seems like the Star Beast is under control of sorts. I mean, it's going to go back to wherever it came from, but it was just doing security.
I think Victoria is exhausted and just sits, skirts and all, into the mud.
I think Dom will approach the slugger and just give him a kiss and say, "Next time you'll listen to me, yes?"
He says, "Probably not. But if it makes you feel better, yes."
I'll take it.
Lady Florence, Gesod is on the bridge of Resplendent with you. "I told her not to press this button, High Imperator." Gesod says, "Well, Lady Florence, have you enjoyed your little joyride?"
She looks down at Flag and says, "You can see that
What happened to him?"
you can see what happened to him. There is a trident in his gut."
Yes, yes, it was more of a rhetorical question, Lady Florence. I can see what happened to him. Never mind. He was something of a bother and a bore.
We
Well,
did plan on disappearing you for eternity, for what it's worth, and I feel like you do owe me.
oh, I owe you now. Oh, I owe you. Oh, I see. Interesting. And I suppose promising you the stars was not enough payment previously. So what can I possibly give you now, Lady Florence?
At some point, I will need something from you.
Oh, will
and
you?
I just ask that when I ask for that thing, that you give it to me without question.
Okay.
You've always loved a good tease, haven't you, Gesod?
Oh, this has been a very, very long night. Where is my daughter?
That is a good question, isn't it?
Indeed, indeed. I suppose we'll find out soon. Gesod says, "My stateroom is very comfortable, Lady Florence, if you care to join me."
Yeah. Fade to black.
Indeed. Jakob, let's have a scene with you and what remains of the Limehouse Lurker.
Oh yeah. So back at Hargrave House, there's a trail of blood running down the stairs, and if one was to follow up, it would terminate at Lady Balakwa's room. But the blood runs down and around the corner to that hole in the kitchen floor, and then dips down into there. And I follow the smears and drop down below the kitchen and find the Limehouse Lurker there, like clearly not going to make it, but there was enough strength to try to crawl back out of the potential sunlight. and I pick up the copy of Charles Dickens that we've been reading together, and I say, you were coming along so well. You were making so much progress. I could tell that you were willing to reform and going to become a better, responsible, uh, vampiric being. Like you were going to be the newest thing. I'm so sorry. Um, I'm so sorry that she did this to you. Does one bury a vampire? Do you even know?
Are you expecting someone to answer, or
No, I'm kind of like pausing for like this sort of monologue, like the beast has barely talked sort of thing in the past. But I'm sort of setting up for a bit of perhaps antipathy between Miss Balakwa and me. And I kind of look around at this like weird chamber below the kitchen and recall way back when, closing off the door with the Shield of Korathor. And I try to make how would you say this? Like a funerary arrangement, sort of like arranging some cobblestones and such, lay the creature to rest, climb back up to the kitchen surface and seal that hole in the floor with the Shield of Korathor.
Nice, good. That concludes the night phase. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and do our dawn and stars and wishes. Okay, it is the dawn phase, and we need to collect rewards for my little tracker is not showing up for some reason. I do know that collecting rewards is the thing we do, though. So let's see. You have 2 threats that have been resolved. Let's start with 3 Mills Island. I'll read them out. The Almanac of the Hyades, add it to your personal quarters. A piece of glowing yellow rock found near 3 Mills Island, added to your personal quarters. I'm sure that's great. Hargrave House has access to... I don't know if this person was really a factor. Let's see who this guy is. Randall Newcastle. Oh, he's the journalist. You did meet him briefly. Yeah. You'll have access to Randall Newcastle, the journalist. He can be consulted once per day phase. In exchange for hot gossip about a previously resolved threat, he will give you a clue about an active threat. A memento from the investigation. There's 2 of those available. Who wants what?
Unless Jakob or somebody else wants it, I am keen on that glowing yellow rock.
I'll take the access to Randall Newcastle.
I guess I specifically didn't want that because the last time I met him, he was just being piloted.
Well, Dom did pretend to be an associate, so.
Mike, what do you want?
I was gonna ask for one because Lady Florence was not like boots on the ground with this particular threat all that much. So
I've got an
feels
idea.
narratively. Yeah.
Admiral Flag Saber.
Oh, trade a trident for a saber. I'll take it.
And Jakob, what are you taking?
I read through the Almanac of the Hyades, so that sort of makes sense. Unless somebody's got a super clever idea, I'll go for that.
Okay, sounds good. And you also get to claim the rewards from the Emerald Orchid, which you have found an antidote for to counter. And that is a pressed emerald orchid, sealed in heavy glass and hung on a silver pendant. Distracting, alluring, draws attention to the wearer. Add it to your personal quarters. A tin of fine tea leaves sparkling with fragments of jewel green petals. Drinking provides a euphoric clarity and visions of possible futures. An etched silver box of mantis green eyeshadow grants the wearer an otherworldly glamour. These are good rewards. Tincture of orchid nectar. A single drop transports the user on a vivid journey through the void from which the first seeds of shadowy root-like creatures blossomed, hungry and curious. Or a memento from the investigation, if none of those things entice you.
I was going to say, Lady Florence, as the one who is tripping balls in this mystery, I'll take the tincture of orchid nectar.
Also, you can so tell Gabriel wrote this. Like, this is so, like, Gabriel, yeah.
I know that I'm already most beloved, but I think I would take the orchid pressed in heavy glass. And I think it's actually the one that was pulled from my head.
I like that.
I feel like looking ahead that a box of otherworldly glamour mantis green eyeshadow might be useful for a Martian, the last surviving Martian royal sort of thing.
Then I will go for the tea leaves.
Fantastic. Rewards are sorted. Does anyone have any, or actually let's do Dawn questions right now. So from last time, you all answered the capital Q question. You did resolve the threat, and I'm pretty sure everyone got multiple echoes in the night, so everyone gets credit for the first 3 boxes. Lady Florence, did you leverage your social status to gain the upper hand?
Going into the cockpit with just my formal dress and that type of thing.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, I'll take it.
expecting-
Yeah. I'm not sure how well it worked, but I'll let you have it, though. And I think you did face-to-face with the mastermind, so go ahead and
Yes.
mark that. Ms. Balakwa, did you counsel someone using your supernatural affinities as the basis for that advice?
I don't believe so.
Did you make love to a human in order to forget the darkness?
A mortal?
Um,
Tunara, not
I'll
human.
take it. No, I'll take it.
You know.
Yeah, I think it's the same. It's in the spirit of it.
Thank you.
It wasn't a dark entity. Is the important thing there, I think. Mr. Constantine, I would like for you to take an X and an O on your hunt. In a moment, please tell us how you're getting closer to the beast. But also, did you revel in the thrill of the hunt? I think you did. Did you taste someone or something else's blood, sweat, or other bodily fluids?
He must have gotten some of Tarnak in his mouth, but also he kissed the slugger.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll take that. Jakob, did you stick up for yourself while being bullied by another hunter?
And I'm trying to remember back to last session. I think that what I did was went on about my bucolic life last session, but didn't really get bullied too much.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you get the second one for sure. Did you go on and on about your bucolic life back home? Fabulous. All right, let's keep going. You get to reassign your keys to the 5 vaults of Tarthor if you wish, Jakob. And then, do we have any Janus Mask things that need to be done?
I did from last session, but I saved it till dawn, and it just was a very long time till we got to dawn.
Okay, well, please go ahead.
I am going to narrate a flashback to your young adulthood that shows a time when you use your supernatural affinities for selfish purposes. And I mean, we see a now grown into a young woman. Victoria has grown tired of spending all of her time in isolation in this large estate with nothing but her aunts for company, with staff that don't make eye contact. There were never any parties, and she really just needs to break free. And in the pursuit of that freedom, this led to several thwarted escape attempts. Her aunts insisting that they always knew what was best and her education was most important, and they somehow always seemed to know where she was or how she was going to break free of this place. And one morning, Victoria woke from a dream and was cocooned in darkness. And with that thought, she was inspired that her aunts could not control what they could not see. And so she spent her days predicting which rooms they would be in, so she would not be there. And in the evenings, she would sneak down to the village below in her own darkness. And we see a hand reach out from a dark alleyway to grab a drunk but handsome looking man by the back of the neck and kiss him.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any more?
I do have one, but could I owe it and do it next session? Because
Sure.
it's the explorer's arrival in London, and there's like a few pivotal arrivals within London, and I was so caught up in the sort of like decision of whether to betray or not that I didn't even decide on which one of those it would
Wait,
be.
is this
So I'd
this
love.
the boys' arrival in London?
Oh, it's the boys' arrival in
Yeah.
London. So never mind, I was thinking about it completely wrong anyway. So
You can wait. If you need time, you can wait. It's fine.
yeah, I need some time to think about how to weave that all together. So yeah.
Any other Janus Mask? Dom, do you want to talk to us about how you're getting closer to the beast?
I think in the press of bodies amidst the crowd on the Resplendent, he saw the beast in his human form. He saw him there. He knows now without question that the beast is nearby. And if he's willing to put himself out like that in public, he must be getting close to achieving his goals.
Fantastic, which you are mechanically very close to getting to the beast. I think you got, one more mark to go?
One more.
One more. All right. Let's keep going with our phase here. I think that's it. Let's go to Stars and Wishes.
I can go. This felt like a really good mid-season finale.
Total mid-season finale energy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it works because we're taking a little break for a couple weeks, and it'll be good to get back and see how everything is after our little hiatus. And with all of we solved 2 mysteries in one go. That was pretty cool. Stars for every part of Lady Florence interacting with Admiral Flagg, and the way that you dispatched him was just great. I love the coral spear, and let's see some more just direct action from Lady Florence. Victoria and Tanara was great. I knew you wouldn't, because we like Victoria and Victoria's not going anywhere, but I was like, it would be really interesting if she did. And also Jakob piloting the ship and taking a bit more of an active role with his alienness and confronting that a little more was so good. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the interactions between the hunters and Jakob change now that that's all a little more apparent.
Yeah, I've got about 3 masks left to conclude that plot arc of Martian Revelation. So there's some stuff's got to happen faster. A couple stars. Jason, I don't know if you made it up on the flyer if it's written into this, but 6656 Venusian Resplendent class invasion vessel. That just flies off the tongue.
I made that up off the top of my head.
And Mike just mentioning Lady Florence getting used to how spaceships work again. I love that idea of like, yeah, it's been a couple decades, but it'll come back to me. And then Dom stepping in. I was looking forward to the fight with Tarnak and Dom. All that was great, but some really good lines about excuse me, Your Excellency, things like that. And Lady Bullock was grabbing the knife, Tanara's knife, with your hand, and the tendrils coming out. It was amazing visual. And then I think my last one was Admiral Flagg being buried at Wilton Davies Trench is a wish. I'm waiting for that scene. And then another wish is for 127 Robot to come back. And then one last star was Ben, when I was describing the controls used to be on the right, now they're on the left, or they should be on the left. I think it was obvious I was going for like a Venusian versus Martian spaceship design. You made it American. I didn't even realize how obvious that would be in a certain sense. You know what I mean? Like British driving to American driving. And once you said it, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. So thanks for pointing that out.
I have a star for the this was really fun. I knew it was going to be like it was going to be kind of mid-season finale. This is kind of our second mid-season finale, right, in this campaign. And and so I kind of had some things lined up, and I'm really like intrigued by how it all played out. It was very action packed and very cool, but there were some decisions being made too, right? Like I basically put it on the table to like end the Gesod mastermind like problem right now, but you all didn't take it. And I also put on the table of Ms. Balakwa retiring to a different life, but did not take it. And so it was interesting to see those choices that were being made. And because I think it told us something about those characters, which was really interesting. And so I really enjoyed that. I love the scene of Ms. Balakwa grabbing Tunara's knife. I thought that was a really great way of getting the blood worked in. It was super cool. Also really loved plunging the trident into Admiral Flag. It felt very appropriate. It felt like a good end to their story. Yeah, and I continue to enjoy the relationship between the Slugger and Dom. That was very, very fun. And yeah, and also Jakob, like kind of like the awakening to your Martianness was really, really fun to see as well. I personally had a lot of fun playing the guy on the bridge. I was really enjoying that little guy on the bridge. He was just, I don't know. The Venusians are really interesting because I clearly like lean into like humor with them and camp, and I just kind of like that tonally. I think it's fun. It's not something you get to do in the between very often, so it's enjoyable. And my wish, I would have liked to have seen what would have happened if you had allowed Flag's plan to go forward. I had an idea of where the mastermind situation was going to go at that point. Um, but that is a road not taken. And yeah, we're up to, we're up to 12 mastermind clues. So you're getting really close to being able to face Gesod. I'll be curious to see if, seems like we're almost certainly going to get the Beast in play. I'll be curious to see if the Coven comes into play as well before that's over. Those could be our final threats, right? For, before we have to face Gesod. So that'll be really interesting to see if and how it plays out.
Yeah, I really had a wish for shittier dice today because I wanted to get those mask checks to get that Coven into play because I have a pretty clear idea of what and how that's going to happen for my character, and I'm really excited about it, but the dice just weren't just wanted me to succeed today, and that's okay. Sometimes it's okay. I also have many of the same stars. I loved Lady Florence, her lever work. Basically, like, okay, I'm going to keep my hand on this when you don't want me to touch. You need to just, that kind of assertive play is a lot of Lady Florence, and it was just like a really good example of that. I also have a star for Martians driving on the wrong side of the road. That was great. Dominic, it felt so emotionally loaded without you having to describe to us how emotionally loaded it was. So that just felt like really great character work from Ben today. And yeah, I too liked the choices. I considered Venus, but frankly, she is just too goddamn bossy. Tunara and I would never have worked out. One of us would have killed one another on the spaceship out there. She never would have gotten to the coup. Wishes, I'm excited for the Coven to come into play, and I'm excited to see how the Beast and the Coven and Gesod, how that Venn diagram all kind of folds into one another. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Yeah, so I mean, right off the bat, stars to Jason for just the stakes. Really high stakes across the board. Some of that set up obviously in the last session as well, but then just amping it up in this one. So yeah, tied into that. Dom just refusing to let the slugger go down, and even just the way that that's played, I think that that's something that we would expect based on what we know about Dom, but just the way the dice rolled and just letting Dom uh, assert his dominance over the scene, and his dominance even over the fate of the slugger, which has been a pretty consistent thing throughout the entire thing. And then Miss Balakwa and the Tanara stuff. I think that that's like just a really fun like a clash of the witchiness and space stuff. And I feel like Miss Balakwa is really blossoming into this like weird, dark, arcane stuff. And to see that like butting up against all of this science fantasy stuff is really fun and cool. And then, yeah, of course, Jakob as well, kind of echoing Jason's star here. I feel like taking the hammer to 127 is not something Jakob would have done 10 10 episodes ago, or sessions ago. And just seeing him kind of become this sort of like more like Superman hero, which the playbook is designed to do, but yeah, I think you're like transitioning that into that really well. And then a star on just generally the like all the unseen stuff was like really good. There was a lot of like cool potential for multiple echoes in the night. And then Sarah with the essentially like the setup of like I was not expecting it, but when you're talking about giving up the like all of these markers of nobility and that type of thing, like just I thought made Lady Florence's move in that very next sequence, it just kind of like opened that up and really added to the intensity and the drama of that particular moment. So I feel like that was just a really tight, cool unseen echo in the night interaction. Wish more of that.
Yeah, I also have really enjoyed seeing the sort of like arc of Jakob and the Martian playbook. Like I think it's really cool to see, because like when I wrote that playbook, I had this like I had this kind of character arc in mind, and it's fun to see it kind of play out, like this sort of increasing like heroism, right? Which is really fun as Jakob settles into his true nature or whatever. I think that's very much in the spirit of it, and it's cool to see. Any other stars or wishes? Go ahead, Sarah.
I have one more star. I did really appreciate the emotional content of Jakob mourning the lurker, and that whole burial
Yeah,
scene was
yeah.
very good, but I refuse to feel bad about it.
The lurker was so interesting. I like, because at a certain point the lurker just became this like lens through which to understand Jakob, right? And it was intriguing in that way. I think it was really interesting to sort of see this character who, like Jakob, like kind of form this bond, and like particularly with the lurker, and like what that means. And because in a lot of ways the lurker was sort of stolen from his childhood, like Jakob was, right? Like he had his childhood stolen from him, and so that connection between them is really interesting to me. So yeah,
He could have been a contributing member of society.
could have been. I know, but...
He bit me. All right.
All right. Any other stars or wishes? We all good to go? All right. Well, then I will look forward to seeing you all after our little break. Or actually, I'll see 3 of you very soon in person. And then Ben, we'll see you when we get back. Bye, everyone.